So there's a paradox that exists when we're trying to manifest love. And the paradox is this: it's important to have desire. Desire is the fuel to move you forward. So a desire for that love relationship is super essential and critical. The paradox is desire actually influences our perception. Desire affects perception. And if we're not careful, that desire for a relationship can actually cause us to miss red flags that we would otherwise see if we didn't have such a strong burning desire for love. And this is well documented in scientific studies. I'll share with you a couple of examples. They took a group of people who had already eaten and a group of people who were hungry, and then showed them images on a card. And guess what the group of people who were really hungry began to see on these images? You're probably thinking about it, food. They're like, oh, that looks like a hamburger. That looks like some French fries, right? And so it was why? Because desire affects perception. What image are they perceiving they're being shown? They did a second experiment. There was a financial experiment where the reward was a big financial gain. And they surveyed everybody before playing this game. Those who had a major desire for financial gain were less likely to perceive the risks of the game. They took bigger risks and often failed way more and bigger because their lack of being able to see the risks that were at play. So if you're thinking right now, well, this is bad news, Matt, because I can't reduce my desire for love. That's something that I want, which is how I felt. When people said, oh, just don't want love as much, or just don't look for it as much. I was like, this is something I deeply desire. How can I not look for it? I've got good news. There's actually something that you can do instead. The first thing is become highly aware of what the red flags are in advance. Because if you're already aware of what they are, then the time that you notice them, you can actually pay attention to them and override the desire response that suggests maybe you should look the other way. The second thing that you can do is what's called pace the race. Pace the race. And I'll explain what that is here coming up. But first, let's take a look at what are 5 common red flags that you can know in advance. Hey, if these come up, I should pay attention to these. And let me give you a quick caveat to these red flags. And that is what you're really looking for isn't, does this person do this one time? It's, do you see a pattern of this behavior? Because it's the pattern of this behavior that's dangerous. The first covert red flag that you want to be aware of, a pattern, is justifying broken agreements. If you find in yourself that you're justifying his broken agreement and making it okay, and that happens over and over and over again, that is a red flag. And these are often small things, which is why you justify them. Like you're going to hang out at 7 o'clock for dinner and he shows up at 7:45. But he gives you a great excuse. He's like, oh my gosh, work was so busy. I'm so sorry. My boss wanted this last minute thing and so I had to stay late. But I'm so glad I'm here. Let's have a great night. And so you think, well, that makes sense. And you rationalize it. You make it okay. But if you notice that happens over and over again, he says he's going to call and he doesn't. He says he's going to make a plan for a date and he doesn't. And it's a constant pattern where you notice that you're actually reducing your standards for what's okay because he's so great and you let things slide, that becomes a red flag. Here's why. Men are on their best behavior in the beginning of the relationship. So he's given you his best as he's developing this relationship with you. And so after this, it just goes downhill. And you're also setting up the rules for engagement. What you make okay in the beginning of the relationship is how he's going to behave as the relationship progresses. And so that's why it's really important that you notice when it becomes a pattern and then bring it up and see how he responds. The second covert red flag is where you notice you have a pattern of minimizing his bad behavior. And here's what this means. When you take a look at the character that you want in your partner, like let's say you want somebody who values honesty and they said they went to the gym and worked out for a couple hours. Maybe they're telling their friend they worked out for 2 hours and you know they were only there for like an hour or 45 minutes at the most. And they just exaggerate. And you're like, and you're justifying it. You're minimizing. You're like, well, he didn't lie. He just kind of exaggerated. Or he's like, how long it took him to drive somewhere. Maybe you went on a road trip with him and he's like, oh my gosh, we were on the road for 4 hours. And you're like, actually, it only took us like 3 hours. It's just this little things. Maybe he's got to go to work in the morning and this boss calls and you hear him tell his boss that he's sick and he's not coming in today, but really he's going to go to breakfast for you. And so you minimize that and you're like, well, he's just telling the boss that because he loves me so much. He wants to go to breakfast with me and hang out. You want to pay attention to the qualities that matter most to you, the qualities of character. So if honesty is important to you, you want to pay attention. If he's squishy with the truth, if kindness is important to you, you want to pay attention to how he's treating people. Now, everybody has a bad day, but what we're looking for is if you notice in yourself a pattern of minimizing his bad behavior, that's a red flag. The third red flag is where you notice a pattern where you don't feel good enough around him. Now, there's a relationship dynamic that occurs with manipulating and controlling people. It starts out fun, it starts out exciting, but then they'll offer little criticisms here and there. Like, hey, you know what? You would look way more attractive if you didn't wear those baggy clothes. Or, hey, you look way better if you wore more makeup. Or, hey, you know what? You probably shouldn't hang out with that person. They're not really good for you. And they start to kind of control your life. And they say things that undermine your own self-esteem. They say things that undermine your own self-confidence. And you notice that you start to feel less secure, less confident, more off balance, more kind of on edge when you're around this person. But it's hard to tease apart, if you will, because it's so exciting. Being with them is exciting. And so is it that I'm off balance, insecure? Or is that the fear and the excitement all kind of blended together? Pay attention for this pattern, because this one absolutely grows over time. They will erode away at your self-esteem. And here's a really great litmus test, is notice how you feel before you go into the date with this person, like how you feel in your general state of life. And then when you're done on the date and you come home, how are you feeling? Are you feeling more expansive? Are you feeling better? Are you feeling more secure, more amplified in your self-confidence? Or are you feeling less? An example from my own life is I went to this mastermind, another gentleman there, super successful, and we're masterminding. And I noticed that every time I'm with him, we're making plans and we're doing things. But when I would leave his presence, just the energy of his being and some of the subtle things he would say, I would just feel worse. There's no better way to put it. I would just not feel as good. I was like, oh, why do I feel this way? And so then I started to notice the next mastermind. I was like, oh, wow. It's this subtle way of being that kind of undermines and props himself up and kind of tears other people down. I see what's going on, and this is why it doesn't really feel good to be around him. But I never really noticed it when I was around him. It was only after I left his presence, because I noticed what I'm noticing. I noticed that my energy had constricted. It's a very, very important red flag to pay attention to. So pay attention to your own energy, and it will lead you what direction you should be going. And the fourth red flag is where you slowly notice over time that you become the fixer. Now, this one's hard because you're generous, right? Those of us who love to give, we love to serve, we love to help other people, and you're talented and you're smart. Maybe you're a physician, maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you're a business owner, and the person that you're seeing needs help with something that you've got advice in, you've got expertise in. It's easy to give that advice. But notice this, it's different between when you're offering advice in your expertise, he's offering advice in his, and you're both mutually lifting each other up, versus the pattern starts to become, he starts to lean on you more and more and more to solve his problems. This creates a pseudo parent-child relationship instead of a healthy partnership, where you become his emotional mother. And that kills the attraction. And there have been situations where the woman pours herself into this relationship, ultimately becomes the emotional mother, the parent in the relationship, and because the attraction deflates, he goes off and finds somebody else, and she feels so betrayed because she's like, I gave you so much and you went and found somebody else. Well, you want to pay attention to that. Do not become the fixer in the relationship. Look for balance. You can absolutely have somebody in your life who is an equal player. You might not all have the same expertise, but you're equal in your mindset, in your heart set, in your way that you can pour into one another and support one another in each other's lives. And the fifth covert red flag is where you notice that you do all of the lifting to resolve the fights. Now notice this, every relationship is gonna have arguments, disagreements, gonna have fights, and one of the two of you is gonna make that repair attempt. One of the two of you is gonna lean in first. Well, who's doing that? There's some amazing research that came out from the Gottman Institute recently that showed that The majority of fights in a relationship are what they call perpetual fights, meaning you can't resolve the core of the fight. Like one of you is an extrovert, one of you is an introvert. There's always going to be moments where one of you wants to go out to a party with friends, another one wants to stay home and watch TV or chill out, right? The core of that fight you're not going to resolve because it's in your inherent differences that the fight arises. But your ability to navigate the moment and help find an agreement between the two of you in that moment is super important. Maybe one of you is super organized and clean and the other one is not, right? That's going to surface over and over and over again. But who's the one doing the lifting in the fight? You want to share the burden. If you notice that you're always acquiescing to the other person, or you're always leaning in and making it right, or trying to manage their temper, or trying to manage their emotions, that is a red flag, because there will come a day when you don't have the emotional capacity that day to be the one that lifts the other person up. And you're going to need that other person to stand with you and do the heavy lifting. You've got to share that burden. And when that day comes, the relationship will explode. Like it will crumble down if that person has gotten used to you always being the one to lift it up. So you want to make sure that there's a mutual coming together in the solving of these disagreements. So if these are hidden red flags that kind of show themselves over time, and you got to look for a pattern to know whether or not they're a real red flag, what's the best strategy? What can you do? And this is what I call pace the race. Pace the race. In new relationships, it's so exciting. You finally found somebody great. It's easy to want to just go all in, jump into bed, commit right away, progress the relationship. But here's the kicker. Anyone can put on a great face for a couple of weeks and be their best self when they're only around you for a few hours at a time. You want to really get to know the person that you're dating. And so you want to pace the race, because these behaviors are part of their character. And that always comes out over time. You want to see the person you're dating after they've had a bad day at work, or when they're tired, or when they're hungry, or when they're under stress, when life doesn't go right. How do they respond to that? You want to see them in different circumstances and situations. You have forever to be together. There's only one phase in which you're dating and courting, so be like a sponge and really see the person that you're with. You'll know the red flags when they come up, or you'll know, no, this person is my person, the person I want to share my life with. And so now, if you would love to find that person, if you would love to call that person into your life, maybe it's been a long time since you've been with anybody, maybe you've been dating a lot and just been on the cycle of the same thing over and over again, and you're ready to find your person. If you would love support in that, we've got an amazing program called Manifest Your Man. I will put a link in the description below. Click that link. You can check it out and be part of this incredible journey with other amazing women just like you, at the end of which you will attract the amazing relationship you've always wanted. So if that matters to you, click the link and check it out. And know this, I believe in you. I'm in your corner. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.